Good afternoon, Jimmy. I would like to welcome to MRuns podcast. How you're doing today?
I'm doing much better today. I'm finally recovering a little bit.
So you recover from a 48 hour run?
Yes, yes.
We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Let's start off with tell us about your running journey. How did you start? How you got here?
I actually started running when I lived in Florida before I moved here, just, weekly or daily jogs pretty much along the beach, etc. Then I moved to Birmingham in 1972, and that was during that time period. That's when the Birmingham Track Club was getting started and everything. I started doing some of their 5Ks, 10Ks, etc. Then in the I think it's 1979, 78, 79, like that. They had the first marathon in Birmingham, and I ran in it, and then started doing long distance runs, then marathons, etc. for about the next 8 or 9 years. And then in 1988, I ran my first ultra marathon, which was a Birmingham Track Club 50-mile run at Oak Mountain, which they used to have every year. And then I've been doing mainly ultras since then.
How was it like from the early days of running here in Birmingham versus now?
The main thing was there were very few races. And like I say, the first marathon, I think, was 78, 79, something like that. And it was, they had it on a Saturday, and nobody knew what they were doing. It was pretty much an unmitigated disaster as far as traffic was concerned and everything. They had traffic bogged up all over town, if you can imagine running a marathon on Saturday.
The traffic still bogs up all over the town, but I think we're running on Sundays in Birmingham at least.
Right. Yeah, this was, it was called the Magic City Marathon, and this was before the Vulcan Marathon. I think they ran it 3 or 4 years, or they might have run both of them in the same year at one time.
Talking about just running in the Southeast, how was it? I mean, you talked about it. You started ultra really early. And back then,
yeah, what really got me started in the ultras is I was trying to run, starting in 1987, I was trying to run a marathon a month. And so I was trying to find, it was hard at that time to even to find marathons to run in some months, certainly any that were close. So I ended up running marathons in Wisconsin, New Jersey, whatever. And then I started throwing the ultras in to try and get something in each month. But there were very few. And then Gary Cantrell, or Lazarus Lake, as some people call him now, started a series called the Ultra Grand Prix Series, where you ran a marathon each month in a different state in the Southeast. And I think we had 11 of those in a year. And then you got points based on your finish place, etc. And then they had awards at the end of the year. So that's really what got me into it. I think it was 88 or 89, 90, etc.
Very close to what David Haas does it these days.
Yeah, pretty much the same thing. Only, like I say, it was in different states.
Okay.
Each one was run in one of the southeastern states, and they were all ultras. They were 24 hours, 48 hours, 100 milers, 100 Ks, etc.
Have you calculated how many marathons and ultra marathons you have done over the years?
It's probably up around 150, something like that.
Okay.
I took a 10-year break from like 2002 to 2012. I don't think I ran any ultras during that period of time, and just a few 25Ks during that period.
Since I know you, I have seen you doing a lot of these time events, and looks like you really enjoy them. Can you talk about what this time event is and how does it work?
Okay, a timed event opposed to a distance event is based on a fixed amount of time, and they have standard times for these events, usually 6 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours, 48 hours, and 6 days are the standard events. Now, another popular timed event that is recently started is 72 hours. But they keep records for the others, but they don't keep records for 72 hours for some reason. And these things are usually run on some kind of a looped course, and the size of the course varies quite widely. I've run anywhere from a 1/8 mile loop to a 3-mile loop on these timed events.
Doesn't it get like dizzy or something like that just running through those 24 hours? I mean,
You get a little brain dead towards the end of them, especially in the multi-day events. It looks like The Walking Dead when you get out there around 3 o'clock in the morning with everybody staggering around.
yeah, but, I mean, I was just even doing the Lake Martin 100, and it's 4 loops, so it's kind of got got mundane after a while because you get to see the same thing over and over. So
Yeah, especially at 3 o'clock in the morning.
yeah, and also that run for kids. I mean, this year we actually have what do you call it? The distance was the loop was a little bit longer, but still, I mean, you
Yeah,
get to
which I think it was more difficult this year due to the longer loop because you have to carry more supplies and stuff. You have to carry more water, etc., than you would with it. The nice thing about most of these timed events, if they're a 1 mile loop or so, you don't have to carry any aid or anything. You just pick up your water bottle as you go by the aid station, take a few sips. You may take it with you for one loop, and then you put it back down, so you don't have to carry a lot of supplies.
definitely. Let's talk about a little bit about this 48 event that you recently ran and broke some world record, at least U.S. record that we know of. Let's talk about that a little bit. This is your second. That was the second year you ran that event, correct?
Actually, it was the third year. I've run it 3 years in a row. It's held in Augusta, New Jersey, and it's called 3 Days at the Fair. And the main event is actually a 3 day run. And it's one of the more popular 3 day runs in the country. And actually, it's set up where you can run 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. They even have a series where you can run 4 marathons if you want, or 4 50Ks if you want during the time that the race is going on. But it's more like it's kind of a family affair. The McNulty family runs it, and they're a real nice bunch of people. And everybody there pretty much knows each other because it's kind of like the Southeastern Trail Running Series. It's the New Jersey Trail Running Series. So everybody camps out. There's grassy areas to camp out. Everybody has tents. The whole family's there and everything. So it's pretty much a family affair. But I ran it the first time 2 years ago and ended up rained the first 12 hours. Got really bad blisters on my feet. The bottom of both feet ended up coming off and did 131 miles. At that time, the American record was 144 miles for my age group. I thought I had a chance to break it. I went back the next year and ended up getting back spasms on the second day and ended up doing 131 miles again. And so going back this year and the previous 2 years when I'd run it, I'd also run the Run for Kids a couple of weeks before this race. So this year I decided I'd just work the Run for Kids and then go ahead and concentrate on the 48-hour run. So we went up there. That was one of the major things I changed. The other major thing I changed, we rented an RV, which turned out to be perfect because we could park it right on the course. Didn't have to get off the course to change clothes or work on feet or anything like that. And then the third thing was I determined that I was going to take breaks at a fixed interval and more often during the run.
So during this time, you don't stop, correct?
You can stop on this particular time. I wouldn't stop until I just had to, but I decided this time I broke the race up into 3 hour segments. I figured if I could do 10 miles every 3 hours, that would the existing world record at the time was 159 miles. The existing American record was 150 miles. So I figured with 16 3 hour segments, that would give me 160 miles if I could do 10 miles every 3 hours. And I determined that I was going to take a 10-minute break every 3 hours. And so that's how I started out. And it worked out well for me. At the end of 24 hours, I had 86 miles, so I was 6 miles ahead of where I thought it was going to be. And then I got to 100 miles in 28 hours and 36 minutes, and that was late in the day. It started raining, so my wife Deborah is the one that crews for me, and if it wasn't for her, I couldn't do any of this stuff. But she's an excellent crew, and so we talked about it, and I told her, I said, I think I have a chance to break the American record. I don't think I can get to the world record. I said, I'm going to slow down and just concentrate on the American record. And if I can get to 140 miles at 3 o'clock in the morning, that gives me 6 hours to finish 10 miles. I said, if I can get there without being in any problems, any spasms or cramps or anything, I said, then I'm going to start pushing it and see if I can go for the world record. So I got to 3 o'clock in the morning. I had 141 miles. So I said, okay, here we go. Let's take off. So she was out there all night telling me to eat, drink, take it easy, keep going, etc., pushing me on. And I ended up getting to 160 miles with 21 minutes left. And then she and the race director looked at the clock and they said, well, you finished your last lap in 17 minutes. Keep going. You're not going to stop now. So they made me do another lap. So I ended up with 161.
That's a lot of miles. So how did you feel after going through 48 hours, hardly stopping? And how does it feel?
It felt pretty rough. You're pretty much shot and staggering around a little bit, but it felt good to be done with it. Of course, I started my 2-day race at the same time the 3-day racers started. So the other people were still going. The 3-day racers were still out on the course, and the guy that won the event did over 300 miles. So you can imagine how tired those people must have been.
Yeah, 300 miles straight. Yeah, that's a lot of miles.
Yeah.
But yeah, one of the things for me is running those time event. I'm not too much fan. Although you wanted me to try some of this. One of the problem for me is like I don't know how far I'm supposed to go and how fast I'm supposed to go. I know I got to keep on going. I think 12 hour, and that's what I did. I rushed through it like any race, and then realized later on I had to slow down. You never know. So that's the thing for me for 12 hours or any of this time event. Maybe one of these days I'll try more than 12 hours. So
yeah, that was the thing. This was the first time I had really set a schedule for rest, like I say, and broke it. You've got to break these things down into small chunks. You can't just go out there and say, hey, man, I'm going to run for 48 hours and just count 1 mile at a time. Off of that 48 hours, like I said, I just broke it up into 3-hour chunks. I didn't worry about that 3 hours and did not worry about the whole race. And then took my breaks, even at the end of 3 hours, even though I wasn't that tired, I sat down and took a 10-minute break. And like I say, it worked out well for me. It's the first time I've really tried that.
Like you said, you only took 10 minutes break. It's nothing like went to sleep or anything like that, correct? And those 48 hours.
On the second day, it started raining, and I changed. So I'd already decided I wanted to get my 100 miles in before it started raining. And then after I got my 100 miles in, I knew I was going to take a longer break and change clothes. And I was trying to time it so I could do it during the time it was raining, which I did. And I took about an hour or so break at that time. I didn't sleep, but I took a shower because we had the RV there. I took a shower, changed clothes, changed shoes. And I laid down probably for 15, 20 minutes, but did not go to sleep.
Yeah, one of my worries whenever I have done that, like more than just like sitting down and trying to get up, the cramp starts. It's difficult. That's my worry that if I stop too long, I may not go start. Continue on any of this event. So.
Yeah, when I've done these before now, I had done. Well, like 1989, 1990 was the last time I'd done 48-hour runs before this. I did, in 89, I did 172 miles. And funny as it turns out that in 1990, I did 161 miles also. But those two times I took about a 2-hour break, took naps and everything. And it was very hard to get started again after a nap like that. And not only is the cramps and stuff, but my feet hurt as much when I'm stopped as they do when I'm moving. Actually, I feel better when I'm moving than they do when I'm stopped.
We also were male overall finisher as well. That's what you said.
Yeah, for the 48-hour run, right?
Yeah, that's a great achievement.
First time it's ever happened to me.
After 100 something events. Let's switch some gear and let me ask you some quick questions. I call it the sprint rounds. Just give us a short answers, or if you can, you can, if you have to, go ahead and go long. Let me ask you, what kind of shoes do you wear for this kind of events?
I've been wearing my Zumas for the last few months. They're very lightweight, and since this is run on asphalt and not on trails or anything, I've been using them just because of the lightweight. And I switched to Hoka's when it started raining on this thing, and my feet were fine. And before I switched to the Hoka's, and then I ended up, for some reason, getting blisters on top of my toes. Now, previous times in this race, I've run Hoka's with the toes cut out of them.
Okay, I think I have seen those pictures.
Yeah.
What do you use any GPS device for your training or events or anything like that?
Yeah, I've got a Garmin GPS, a 305, I think. Is that the right number?
The old one, yeah, 305.
Yeah. That I use just to keep track of the distance, etc.
This one will be a good question for you. What is your favorite event or race that you have run, over the years? What is your favorite event?
A couple of them come to mind. One of them was the Levee Run, the Mardi Gras Ultra Grand Prix, which goes from Baton Rouge to New Orleans on the Mississippi Levee. It's a 125-mile run.
I've heard about that event. It's pretty flat and wide open and cold.
It's flat and downhill for 125 miles. What could you ask for? Right?
But I heard it gets cold because it's like
it was it. They used to hold it in December. I don't know when they hold it now, but they used to, and it did get cold up on that levee. But it's very interesting to see the traffic on that levee, the ships and everything coming down the levee in the middle of the night and everything.
So there's actually a trail on the side, or
no. There's a road up on the levee, and it's got crushed shell on top of it, kind of like gravel, but it's crushed shell.
So do you get people like a support crews and stuff like that?
Yeah, they travel along beside the road and everything, down below the levee. And there's restaurants along there at a few spots, and then there's old plantations and lots of interesting stuff to see as you go down through there.
Need to look into that one for sure. What kind of training plans do you use for anything you do, even for this time events?
Well, this year I was lucky enough to go down to Florida for 10 days to take care of the grandchildren, and I set up a 1 mile loop down there, flat loop on some city streets, and got to get ready for the heat down there. And I've got a 1 mile loop here in my neighborhood that I use to get ready for these 1 mile loop events. I've got another one coming up in September called a Race for the Ages, where you get to run 1 hour for every year of age, and it's a 1 mile loop on city street kind of course also.
So this is a road ultra. Actually, recently some of my friends were asking me about road ultras, if there's any. So I think there is a lot still exists, correct?
Yeah, quite a few. Yeah, especially for these timed events. And the national 24-hour championships are in September each year, and they're on the roads also.
I need to look into that. What kind of nutrition plan are you in, or you just eat whatever?
I eat whatever. On this particular run, I was eating a lot of Snickers bars, D-Fizz Coke, Tailwind. I had another recovery drink that I mixed and drank a lot of, and sweet tea, and then chips and bean dip, and a nice thing about this course, they had the race director's son would also come running around the loop with hamburgers and hot dogs and ice pops and give them to you while you were running. Plus, they had an aid station with food where you could order sandwiches each time you went by. You can order a sandwich and they'd have it ready for you the next time by. Grilled cheese, hamburgers, hot dogs, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I had to do with him, Logan, for Run for Kids. He was making me some veggie burgers, and yeah. I had those going, so that worked out well. Yeah. Let's before we close, I would like you to give us some advice, since you've been running for so long, and enlighten us, and tell us what we need to do to be running, even your age, and whatever beyond,
I think the main thing is to take it easy. Listen to your body. Don't get out there and hurt yourself trying to finish one of these things and do some permanent damage to yourself. I mean, if you get in a situation where you're really in pain and you think you're going to do some permanent damage, well, stop, quit. I mean, DNF's not fatal, but some of these injuries can almost be. So use your head.
I remember you telling me up in the Pinhoti, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, your best, what was the code you said? Your best?
And some of my smartest races have been DNFs and some of my dumbest should have been.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't take your advice then, but but I was climbing the pinnacle. So, but yeah, it sounds like interesting. You have a lot of experience in running. Hopefully, you can continue for years to come. Run.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the 80 age group. They got some lots softer targets to aim for there.
Definitely, but I think you're going to continue to inspire us and be out there, support us, and thanks for all you do.
Okay, looking forward to seeing you this weekend.
Thank you.